right, here we go, everybody. Happy to have you on this Wednesday afternoon. He's Adrian Broadus. I'm Steve Kaplowitz. We come your way right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. Our telephone number is 505-6009. That's 505-6009. Get you right in and through to the program. Excited about today's show. No Jay Jaffe because it's Valentine's Day and it's 2 hours after us, so he's probably doing something romantic with the family in New York. So we'll get Jay next week. And Jeff Erickson is out today. He is in Vegas for a fantasy baseball draft, a little fantasy convention. So no Erickson, no Jaffe. However, we are going to have three guests on the show today. Pete Zamora is going to join us via the Longhorn Distributing Hotline, where all of our guests always appear on the phone lines. Longhorn Distributing takes care of all of our phone guests. And then we've got a couple of in-studio guests today. That's right. Lane Frank's going to stop by the show, and he's going to join us sometime in hours 1 and 2. The host of the Schoolyard Sports Podcast. Excited about Lane being here. Then, in our 6 o'clock hour, Cinta de Oro is going to be back. He's got a big wrestling match coming up this weekend. He'll be talking about that with us here on the show. So I'm excited about having Cinta in our 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studios. I'm excited about having Lane Frank with us. And I'm excited getting a chance to talk to the skip for the first time, Pete Zamora. Should be a lot of fun, Adrian.
Yeah, most definitely. Hey, baseball's right around the corner, Steve. We just turned the page on the football season. Now we're getting ready for baseball to start up. I'm excited about it. I think everybody's really excited about it. So, yeah, let's do it. I'm excited to hear from the new skipper himself.
Crazy enough, baseball's here, Adrian. It's arrived. I mean, there's players at camp already right now. It's crazy.
What'd you think of the teaser video from the Texas Rangers?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't? It's
No.
awesome. They did a really cool thing on Twitter or X, and they did something that said, "Here's to the shortest offseason in club history." Love it, right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and it's a super cool video where it shows everything that has the World Series emblem for the Texas Rangers.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Good. Hey, by the way, horrific news about that Chiefs parade shooting. My God, that is so sad. So sad to hear. I mean, can you imagine showing up to celebrate a team's Super Bowl championship and you get and you're shot dead? That is horrific to even think about that.
Yeah, this is tragic. I mean, this is triggering here for me talking about it here for El Paso and what we've experienced with the 2019 mass shooting here in El Paso for the Walmart shooting that happened in August of 2019. And yeah, hearing this, I just feel for everybody out there in Kansas City, everybody who is out there for the Chiefs parade, the players, the staff, the media members who are covering it as well. Yeah. We've heard that no one like that has been injured, thankfully, but somebody died today. There are 10 to 15 who are still injured after shots were fired after the end of the parade, which is just horrific news.
Absolutely. All right, we got two calls ready to go. No Orly for the next 40 days. So today was Ash Wednesday, and I've seen a lot of people that not only went to get their ashes, but I've also seen others that are very much observant. It's the start of Lent. You got to realize this is big, 40 days. Are you one that only eats fish on Fridays?
Yes, I am. And I had my ashes earlier. I think I touched my face too much. Like it definitely rubbed off because I asked Paola, who's also Catholic, who works on the other side of the building, hey, are my ashes still? And this was like at 10 in the morning.
No.
And no, they were gone.
Were you bright and early ashes today?
I was 6:30 a.m. ashes.
Really?
Yes, that's right.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah. Do you want to hear what I'm giving up?
Yes.
This is the toughest the experience I've ever done. I was inspired by Orly, Steve.
Were you really?
I was.
You're not going to tell me you're giving up hosting Minor Talk for the next 40 days.
No, I cannot. I would break that tomorrow, literally. I'm giving up sweets.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Sweets all together.
Have
40 days.
Have you ever had 40 days of no sweets?
Probably, but it was probably something that I didn't want to do or something like that. I love sweets, but my wife and I did this. We made a pact together, and we're in on this together.
Blood oath?
Yes.
By the way, are you a big soda drinker?
No.
That's good. So that you don't have to worry about that. What's going to be the toughest thing for you to give up for sweets over the next month?
You're going to laugh. You're going to think I'm 12
days.
years old. It's gummy worms and gummy bears.
Really?
Yeah.
Now hang on for a second. Here's a question, okay? Gum. Will you chew gum over the next 40 days?
Okay, we did all the list of what counts and what doesn't count. Gum does not count. Because if you go minty gum, you can't go like the strawberry or cherry gum or anything like that.
I mean, it's this. If you do strawberry or cherry gum, that's sweets.
Right, so that would count.
And
that
minty gum is still sugar, even if you have sugar-free. So you're going to tell me that you're throwing gum in this thing?
Okay, now I guess I can't. I can't do gum.
Maybe
we got to do.
I want to talk to Alyssa. I want to help with this because even though I don't observe, obviously it's not one of the things I do, but I am interested to see which makes the cut and what doesn't make the cut. There's food. So what about okay? Here's another thing. Everything has sugar in it. You can't give up sugar. It's impossible. You cannot spend 40 days of no sugar because things you eat that you don't even realize have sugar in it. It's just a fact.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So we were talking about this. We were going down the list. Trail mix, that's sweets.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Nope.
But could you do almonds?
As long as the almonds are not chocolate flavored or chocolate covered.
Okay.
A regular nut. Okay, if you go to, let's say, one of the big box stores and you buy one of those big, unsalted or salted nuts, that doesn't count. So that's fair. That's legal.
Okay, so let me ask you this one because this was the debate last night. Does yogurt count?
The only way yogurt doesn't count is if it is the plain variety of yogurt. If it has any kind of a sweetener attached to it, it counts. You're out.
Yeah, that's exactly. You know what? You're exactly
right. And by the way, even though it's healthy, can't have fruit. No fruit. So that means no apples, no grapes, no oranges, none of that. Zero. Pineapple.
That counts as sweets?
Yes.
Like we're calling fruit sweets. Because it has sugar. You're right. It has sugar.
Is the Chad who I think it is on line one?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I'm getting him on this conversation. Hang on. This is beautiful. Love this start to the show. All right. Let's kick things off with Chad. Chad, I need you on this one because we need to, as the sweets police, Chad, you and I are both the sweet police. We have to tell Adrian the do's and don'ts of the next 40 days for Lent.
Well, I can tell him the don't is don't do it. I could never do that. Are you kidding me? I got the biggest sweet tooth in town. There's no way I could give up sweets. Oh, my gosh. I got to have a bowl of just Captain Crunch berries almost every night. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's
no way,
true.
Dude.
That's another question. So here's the question. What if he has a bowl of Cheerios? There's sugar in Cheerios, although it's extremely low. It's not a sweet cereal. It's all it tastes like is oats and milk. In your opinion, should Cheerios count towards the no sweets for 40 days?
No, you feed them by the bushel to babies and little kids in their little cups that they grab them out with. No way. No, that's not bad. That's not sugar.
Okay,
no,
so as far as you're concerned, that doesn't count. So,
what about fruit, Chad? What about fruit?
I say fruit is out.
Honey Nut Cheerios, no. Honey Nut Cheerios, no.
No, I know he's talking about strawberries, grapes, oranges, pineapples.
Grapes, pineapple, peaches, plums. All that stuff it's all natural sugar, so that would be considered a sweet, no?
Yeah, exactly. He can't have it. He's out.
Yeah, that's it. You can't be doing that either. Yeah. No cantaloupe, watermelon.
Nope.
Honeydew.
Nope.
None of that stuff.
No.
Mangoes.
You know what you need to exactly. You know what you're going to need to do, right? You're going to need a lot of salad over the next 40 days. There's no doubt about that. Don't try to eat like beef jerky because if it's teriyaki flavored, it's sweet. That's out. Can't do that.
That's out.
So you can't do that either.
No.
And there's just.
Let's see what else. That encompasses like a lot of stuff. Now you're gonna have to, Adrian. You're gonna have to narrow it down to just like junk food, man. You can't. You're just gonna have to narrow it down to junk food because if you don't, you're gonna be isolating yourself from like 85% of food, man.
Yeah, I mean exactly. like it's true. Like you know what? I got bad news for you. You eat a hamburger, no ketchup, sweets, pal. Nope. You can't put ketchup on there. Nope. You're out.
No mayonnaise.
Yeah.
No. What else would you can't have relish on a hot dog?
That's right. Nope. No sweet pickle relish. You could have mustard. Eat all the mustard you want. Go knock yourself out with all that mustard. Just make sure it's not honey mustard. So
yeah, no honey mustard, no pretzels. Especially the honey mustard pretzels with the dust on them. You can't have that. Can't have any of that.
Those are so good. Those Dots pretzels are addictive. I hear you.
Yeah.
So what snacks are not sweets?
What snacks are not sweets? You can't have any. You can't have any of those. What are those fruit snacks? Those are all pure sugar.
Well, yeah, of course.
No, here's what you're gonna eat. Ready? Okay, here's what you can have. You can have popcorn. As long as it's not caramel corn.
I just threw this in Chat GPT, and you guys tell me what you think, okay? Because popcorn was in this. Potato chips, crackers, seeds.
Potato chips have to be plain, okay? Because if you eat barbecue potato chips, you're cheating.
Okay, fair enough. Cheese sticks.
Fair enough. I'll go with cheese sticks.
Unsweetened yogurt, like we talked about.
Yeah, that's disgusting, by the way. Go knock yourself out with that. That's sick.
So it says raw fruits. It says raw fruits like apple slices, carrot sticks, celery sticks.
No, I'm okay with the celery and the carrots, not the apple slices.
Okay.
Apple slices is too sweet. No bananas.
No bananas.
Right. Dried fruit is on this.
Can't have dried fruit.
It says without added sugar.
Get you a bunch of plain rice cakes, dude. There you go.
Plain rice cakes. I like that. Okay, I think we've settled on it, Chad. Good stuff, man.
I think, you know what I think? I think you should go find something else to not do for 40 days.
Try not giving up. That would really help you out.
Love it.
That would be awesome. Then you wouldn't have this problem.
So, Chad, I've detoured your entire phone call. What did you want to call in about today?
No, that's fine. No, I just wanted T's and P's to everyone in Kansas City, man. That's super sad. Sad that we can't have anything nice anymore. Also, dude, the 49ers are a disgrace, Steve. They're terrible. You're firing the guy that held Patrick Mahomes to 3 points in the first half? 3 points in the first half. You're firing the guy?
I know.
You're going to fire somebody, fire the special teams. 49ers, pathetic, dysfunctional. Also, bowling is not a sport, and peach vodka is for women. I love you guys. Have a great day.
Oh, I love it. I hope he's listening. That's awesome. Good job, Chad. Good job. Bowling is not a sport. Peach vodka is for women. That call was designed to go after one human being and one human being only.
Wonder who.
And by the way, this is day one. He's got 40 of these to go. And I'll tell you right now, Chad will probably call every day and throw it at him. Every single day. I love that. Love that. All right. Good start to the show. Appreciate it as we continue here on Sports Talk. Is it possible that you would consider giving anything else up for 40 days instead of sweets?
Well, we made this pact. I think that...
What if you guys both do something different?
No, I think we've got to stick to it. I think we knew the challenge. We knew the challenge going into it. But I think the questionable ones, the on the fence ones, will probably be pretty liberal on them.
By the way, Renee just texted into the show, does sugar substitute count? Of course it counts. It's still sweet. Yes, it counts.
Thank goodness
Renee.
I drink my coffee black.
Yeah, you can't, no cream in your sugar, no in your coffee, none of that, or tea. Can't do that. Got to drink black coffee. Sweeteners, no stevia, none of that stuff. Sweet and low. Listen,
easy.
If it's sweet, it's out.
That's right.
Aspartame, gone.
Yeah. Well, we got this. Check in with me after 40 days. I've mapped it out. It's March 31st, by the way.
I have an idea what you should. I'm going to tell you during the break what I think you guys should have come up with on the pact, and that would have been. And I'm going to ask you off air about this. And then you could tell me if you think this would be even tougher than giving up sweets for 40 days.
Let's do it.
All right. We'll do that right after Charlie 1. He's back. First traffic update of the afternoon. Charlie, how we doing? Back here on Sports Talk 20 past as we continue. No Jay Jaffe today. We mentioned it earlier. It's Valentine's Day. I think Jay is spending it with his wife, Emma, and daughter, Robin. So we'll have Jay back next week. But that doesn't mean we can't talk baseball right now. In fact, I'm so excited about this, folks. We get an opportunity to join via the Longhorn Distributing Hotline, where all of our guests always appear. Pete Zamora, he is the new skipper of the El Paso Chihuahuas for 2024. So happy to have Pete joining us on the Longhorn Distributing Hotline. Pete, welcome aboard. I know you're in Major League Camp right now in Peoria, and I'll tell you what, You got to be loving this weather. This is probably going to be the nicest weather that you have for about the next month or so. Am I right?
It's beautiful. I spent my off season in Southern California, and we were lucky and blessed to have a great off season there with the weather. And we show up here, and we're already getting 70 degrees and plenty of sun. So the boys are smiling, they're feeling good, and it's a good vibe out here right now.
I know you're with Major League Camp. As far as minor league camp, specifically the AAA camp, have they all reported, or are we going to start to see more and more players rolling in here over the next week or two?
A lot of the players are very proactive. They've already made their ways down into the valley, and they're already preparing, even if they're not in big league camp. So we're seeing a variety of player down here. Obviously, the guys that are in big league camp, but even the guys that were not invited to big league camp, they're here and they're getting their workouts, they're getting their swings. And so, like I said, the excitement level is high, and it's good to see the proactiveness.
For my listeners that aren't necessarily as familiar with you as some of the other names that have been in here over the years, you are synonymous with baseball. You grew up in a baseball family. You grew up a Padres fan. So I can imagine that as you continue to work your way up through the affiliate system in San Diego, it's got to be a dream come true for you to have the opportunity to spend so many years with the Padres.
I mean, it's absolutely, like I said, it's something I don't take very lightly at all. My father played a couple of years in the minor leagues with the Padres in the late 60s. San Diego is where my mother's from, and obviously her parents. So San Diego has always been a special place to me. When I got back into baseball after my retirement about 8 or 9 years later, San Diego was the first team to call, and I just said yes to everything they offered, because there's not a better place to play baseball, not a better place to live. So it was a no-doubter for me.
Pete Zamora joining us here on Sports Talk, manager of the El Paso Chihuahuas. It's interesting, too, because you have a relationship with Rod Barajas, somebody that we knew dating all the way back to the late 90s when he came up through the Diablos and the Diamondback system here in El Paso when they were a Double-A team in the Texas League. Then he comes back, manages the club with the Padres, and did a terrific job. Very well-liked individual. And tell you what, when I heard that you and Rod were close, put a smile on my face.
Yeah, he's just someone that I respected right when I got back into the game. He was obviously the AAA manager, and I was a rookie ball pitching coach, and we used to have conversations right away. He had zero ego in the matter and could talk baseball all day long with him in a comfort level. I played in the Texas League against Rod Barajas, and he was as good as advertised as well. Just a very, very good baseball guy, and I wouldn't be blown away if he were a manager again in the big leagues. So, all the success he had there in El Paso, I'm excited to see what, my staff can do going in there. But the respect for Rod Barajas is way up there.
Pete, as somebody that has handled pitchers in this system, and you know the game from both the mound as well as the field itself as far as the position players go, I'm excited about a guy like Robbie Snelling. He's been climbing up through the ladder and considered one of the better prospects in this organization. He's a pitcher that can easily come to AAA this year, and if he pitches well, find himself in San Diego. Drew Thorpe is another one that the team acquired via trade. I feel like from a pitching standpoint, this team now has a few arms that are close to really helping with the Padres as soon as this season.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like Robbie Snelling and Thorpe and these guys, it's like a reload. I've been here long enough to see having to trade some of my favorite prospects, like extremely close relationship with Mackenzie Gore and Luis Patino and those guys. And they're not with us anymore, but you know what? We reload, and AJ does a great job with him and his scouts and bringing more players in here. And Robbie Snelling's at the top of the list. And one thing I can tell you about Robbie Snelling, he's one of the toughest and hardworking guys I've met in this game since I've been back. Phenomenal human being, takes the ball every day you give it to him, listens. He's just a great teammate. So he is as advertised, and the excitement level is well earned.
As somebody that knows those guys, Snelling, and yet, you're going to be handling the club this year as a manager, I'm curious, former pitching coach, now manager, what's your style going to be? Are you going to try to run a lot? Or are you the kind of manager that you'll just play the style that matches the club's talent that you have? Give us a little bit of a sneak peek into what kind of baseball we could expect when you're here in El Paso.
For me, I go back to the standards of the Padre organization. We've created certain things that we like to do and standards that we hold our players accountable to and hold our staff to. We want to play Padre baseball. And in the last couple of years, being into the playoffs in San Diego and being, a couple of times in the postseason, we're starting to create standards and trying to create that Padre way. But I will tell you this, these kids will work. They've developed the work ethic. They've learned the work ethic, and we will play whatever baseball you want to play on any given night, whatever it takes to win baseball. We will try to take everything from the opponent and try to give nothing away. So that's the thought process going in. Our pitchers will throw the ball over the plate. And like I said, we're trying to build those standards of the Padres organization.
I've seen young teams here in El Paso with some of the top prospects in the organization. And then there was last season's team, one of the oldest teams, if not the oldest team we've ever had here in El Paso, where the average age was probably late 20s, early 30s, because there were so many guys that had been up and down through the minors and majors over the course of their careers, and they were all assembled here. It was a veteran team. So as I've seen this group get built, it almost seems like it's a combination of both. You still have some vets, but you also have some of those young players. We mentioned Snelling. There's also Jackson Merrill and, of course, Ethan Salas, young talent that are on their way up who could even be in El Paso at some point this season.
Yeah, I mean, every year represents a new strategy, a new world. Players come and go. We're excited about the young crew. We're excited about the reload. We're excited about the guys that are in the big leagues. So, like I said, what we do in El Paso is to produce a second line for San Diego, to produce the depth for the San Diego Padres. And these guys, a lot of these younger guys already know what that takes. And these guys that we've brought in off other organizations to fill that depth, they're going to understand the standards of the Padres organization as well. So they are all prepared not to get back to the big leagues, but prepared to be San Diego Padres.
What about for you? I mean, I would assume the end goal is one day be in a big league clubhouse with a big league job, whether it's manager, pitching coach, bench coach. There's so many jobs now in the big leagues, but is that your ultimate goal, an opportunity like the players you're going to be managing, a chance to someday be in San Diego?
I tell you what, my ultimate goal is, after being a San Diego Charger fan for over 25 years and a Padre fan, I would just love to see any sort of parade to represent a world championship in the city of San Diego. It has nothing to do with me and my job and what I do. I'm 48 years old. Feel pretty good about what I've accomplished or what I'm doing. I would love the city of San Diego to have its first sports world championship. And my grandma, who is no longer with us, but they were all Padre fans. They were all Charger fans. We've dealt with Phillip Rivers as one of my favorite athletes of all time, but they never won. And that city deserves that. So going forward with my career is just being part of that. And if that's a rookie ball pitching coach, or if that's anything, just being part of the San Diego Padres as they became the first team that wins here, then I'm all for it.
I love it. All right, so fair enough. As long as there's a parade, whether you're in one of the cars leading it or you're in the crowd cheering them on, you're going to be happy either way.
Absolutely. It's going to be a beautiful day.
Look forward to it. Hey, look forward to meeting with you and get a chance to have you back on the show throughout the season. Skip, great stuff. Thanks for the time, and enjoy yourself over the next month out there in Peoria.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And like I said, we're excited to get out there.
It's Pete Zamora, folks, joining us here on Sports Talk as we continue. Come back with plenty more. But first, let's get over to Adrian and get this bottom of the hour Sports Center update. Appreciate the new skipper of the El Paso Chihuahuas, Pete Zamora, joining us on the program. And now, without any further ado, here on a Valentine's Day, who better to have on the show than the host of the Schoolyard Sports Podcast, Mr. Sports Podcast himself. He's the one and only Lane Frank. Good to have you back. How you doing?
Great to be back. Couldn't be happier to be on here. A lot of stuff to go over for me and for you.
ton to go over for you. By the way, thank you for covering for us last Monday while we were out starting to get our interviews ready to go for media night. And by the way, while you were on air, you know what we were doing?
What were you guys doing?
We were eating the food and beverages from the Super Bowl out in the suite level. They gave us the food and beverage preview, and I'm not talking about the stuff they were selling to most people at the games. I'm talking about the high-end stuff. We had lobster baked potatoes. We had Kobe. We had delicious beef. What was the beef we had, Adrian? That was good stuff too.
Oh my goodness, Wagyu?
The Wagyu beef.
Ooh. So you had the $2.5 million suite experience.
We did.
That Radio Row.
That's right.
That's fun.
We had the $2.5 million suite experience. In fact,
you went viral this week.
What's that?
You went viral this week.
It was. I get to.
Yes.
I pulled a Lane Frank. I asked a question to the one and only Andy Reid. I should have asked him about the Schoolyard Sports Podcast and the host of the show, but I had to throw a little El Paso at him and get a little El Paso reference. It was good.
No, of course. That's your moment. You got the great question. Went viral for it.
It's nice when FitFam picks you up for a good thing and not a bad thing.
Exactly. It's
Most people will say they never want to go on FitFam because they're worried about what would happen if they're on it. In this particular situation, I was very happy to have my name linked to that particular quote on FitFam.
You're glad it's not ESPN 600 host Steve Kaplowitz doesn't know how to drive.
Exactly. Or goes through a bank or something like that. That's the last thing I need.
Gets arrested. Fight.
Yes, that's exactly. It says, go watch inebriated host Steve Kaplowitz say something like, hey, I really like my tequila. No, it's not.
Sports argument gone wrong.
Let me say this, and this is also very important. This is one of the reasons why I enjoy my beverages at the house. You will not usually ever find me, enjoying them and hitting the road. I got to be careful. Need to stay away from stuff like that. So that's the most important thing. But the game ended. The Chiefs won. You came close. When did you feel like the 49ers were just not going to win that football game?
When they couldn't get touchdowns on their drives. Every single drive was so great, it seemed like, but the Chiefs would bend. They wouldn't break. That's my thing right there, because 49ers could rally off 3 straight first downs, and then after those 3 straight first downs, you're in a 3rd and 13 situation. Not ideal. That's what I saw from the play calling, from the offense. They would get a few great plays. I say it for the first drive, great first drive, McCaffrey fumbles. Great few drives late in the game, and you have to settle for a field goal or a good punt instead of getting a touchdown.
How do you fire Steve Wilks after what happened in that game? Like, it wasn't Steve Wilks' fault they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. I was shocked that the 49ers decided to let him go after one season.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by that, too. Him not getting a head coaching job maybe had something to do with this, but very surprised by that decision. And I wonder who they're going to hire, because it's not like defense coordinators are just on the market every year. And they're going to have someone to replace. I mean, they replaced D'Amico Ryans last year. Now you're going to have to replace Steve Wilks and get a whole new system in there? I don't get it.
And the year before that, Saleh, who had to be replaced?
Yeah.
That's right. This one I have a hard time with. I thought that the 49er defense was not the problem. It was never the problem, really. I mean, by the way, nobody can stop Patrick Mahomes, all right? Baltimore couldn't do it. Buffalo couldn't do it. The Dolphins couldn't do it. Fact is, when the game is on the line, there's probably nobody you would rather put the ball in the hands than Patrick Mahomes.
He's the best improviser football has ever seen. The sport of football has never seen a better improviser than Patrick Mahomes. He won them that game with his legs. Great plays on 4th down, great plays on 1st down, 2nd down, late in the game, 3rd down. Patrick Mahomes, the best improviser the game of football has ever seen. Showed right there in that Super Bowl.
I agree with you. Episode 157 dropping this week for Schoolyard Sports. And today is Wednesday. Will it be dropping tomorrow?
It will be dropping tomorrow. Got a great episode, one of the best, I'd say, in a while, for sure. I mean, they're all great, but this one stands out. Recapping the Super Bowl, talking a lot of stuff. Go tune in. Schoolyard Sports, episode 157, drops tomorrow on all podcast platforms, and Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube for the video.
You think you're ever going to come on the show one day and say to me, you know what? Episode 158 really sucked. I didn't like it. I didn't feel good about it. It's dropping tomorrow, but I'm just, you know what? To all my listeners out there, skip it. Just wait for 159, because you know what? It wasn't one of my best. Will we ever get to the point where you will rip one of your podcasts before it drops?
You know, I've had episodes that I haven't loved in the past. Maybe I'll go with, I think it was episode 50. I was really sick that day. Wasn't a good episode. Oh, that was a while ago. I was in 8th grade. I was a little 13-year-old. Now I'm 16.
Yeah.
A few other episodes, maybe not during football season, kind of where it gets boring this time of year. Maybe some stuff, hard to get a little bit of content in there.
I've had shows that sucked. I mean, they do
happens.
for a variety of reasons. Sometimes we have technical issues. Sometimes, not the greatest of just topics or calls or guests, or I'm not on my game and I just feel like I had an off day. Look, it can't be great every single day. There are going to come times when, you know what, it's not the best, but you just got to, move on and wait for the next show.
Yours is a little bit tougher because you can't redo your segments. I can redo a segment if I mess up. I've had episodes before where I've had to redo a segment, 2 segments, 3 segments, and it's just tough. But this one, no redos, great episode.
Adrian is giving up sweets for Lent this year. How difficult do you think that will be?
That's going to be tough.
It's going to be awful.
Sweets are good.
What is your favorite sweets?
I don't even know. Maybe cookies. Let's go with that.
Cookies.
What's your favorite Valentine's Day sweet?
Ooh, Valentine's Day sweet?
Or just any sweet.
Well, first off, my favorite is chocolate dipped strawberries.
I don't like strawberries.
Oh, really?
Not even chocolate dipped strawberries.
Oh my God! I make them homemade.
Okay.
I do. They're not. It doesn't take rocket science to chocolate dip a strawberry, but I do enjoy those. And I made those a couple of weeks ago, actually, for the family. And they were delicious. But that's my go-to. But I'm a big chocolate guy. That'd be the toughest thing for me to try to give up. In fact, I popped in a dark chocolate peanut butter cup before the show started today. It's one of my lucky moves. I do that, and I feel good about the show. But Adrian, think about this now. Not only is he giving up chocolate, he can't have cereal unless it's like unless it's like Cheerios. You can't eat sugar cereal. Can't have yogurt if it's flavored. Got to have that unsweetened stuff, which is exactly, you're making a face. I would
no
too.
sodas, no nothing.
He can't even have like pizza if the tomato sauce is sweet. Like, you think about that for a second. Like, if you're eating like a pizza and the tomato sauce is kind of sweet, can't have it. That's out. So this is not going to be easy.
That's some tough stuff right there, Adrian.
I feel like those ones right there are coming off the top rope, Steve. Like the pizzas and stuff like that. I feel like the sweets was intended for more like desserts and you're not supposed to have chocolates. You're not supposed to have candies. You're not and what we've said before, we've already talked about a lot of them. The kind of like the yogurts that we talked about with sugar. We also talked about trail mix and stuff like that. Those are all NOs.
Okay. Fruit, do you agree with me at least that you can't have fruit?
Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise,
ultimately, yesterday I probably
it,
didn't, but today after this whole discussion, yes.
Listen, as a sweet tooth guy, sometimes I'll just pop a couple grapes in, and that satisfies me. I'm good to go. It's simply put. So, fruit is great because if you have a sweet tooth, it's the natural sugars, but it's still there. So
I'll just eat pizza instead.
There you go. No ice cream. Can't do that.
Right.
No cake.
I'm good with that.
By the way, we are going to have birthdays here over the next 40 days. And you are going to see some birthday cakes at the radio station that are going to make you crazy. It's going to be this is not going to be easy.
Look, I'm okay with the early morning missing out on cake. The worst parts are going to be like post-minor talk. There's nothing available, nothing open at like 11:30 in the evening. We're scrambling around trying to get some food. Jack in the Box over here is open. McDonald's is open. What are you going to get out there? It's awful.
So you're considering that sweet getting like French fries?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. Now, here's the deal with French fries, okay? Let me give you my thoughts on this. To me, like McDonald's fries or whatever fast food fries, they're fine. The one place you can't have fries, Five Guys.
Fair enough.
Because those are sweet fries. You can't do that.
They also give you $1 million.
They do give you. That's exactly. They give you, and you can't eat your fries with ketchup. Yeah. Can't do that either.
It's awful, man.
I'm telling you. This is not going to be easy. Okay. Question before we go to break. If Orly breaks his vow before the end of Lent, will you then break your vow and go back to having sweets?
You know what? I should have like an emergency chocolate bar here. And then if I pick up the phone and Orly's on the phone, I get to eat it. And no one can tell my wife because my wife is in on this with me. So like we're doing this together. No one can tell her.
I feel that if Orly breaks his vow on Lent and calls into the show at any point, you are officially off the hook with the no sweets for 40 days. I do feel that your vow and Orly should be tied in with each other, neck and neck, hand in hand. And if he decides to break it and calls the show, Simply put, I have 4 candy bars right now in my office. I will bring you one, and you can then just completely celebrate Orly's call with a chocolate bar.
Okay, I'm in on this. This sounds great. I'm totally in. Just don't tell my wife.
Does she listen to the show?
No, not right now.
You're safe.
I'm safe.
Okay, when we come back, more with Lane. I'm excited about this. We got a lot more to talk about with Lane Frank. We'll do that next. Sports Talk continues, 600 ESPN El Paso. Back here on Sports Talk 8 in front of 5. We continue right now with the host of the Schoolyard Sports Podcast, Mr. Lane Frank. Drove himself here today to the show. How's the new car? You like it?
It's so much fun.
Good. It's good to be driving.
Good drive.
Do you enjoy driving?
I enjoy driving.
You stay on the right side of the lane?
Of course.
That's good. Just making sure.
Just make sure.
Yeah.
How's the parking going?
Parking's the hardest. I'll say that.
Parking's not easy at Coronado. It's a mess.
Not
played
even
tennis.
here at this building.
It's pretty easy to park here.
At least we don't have any cars up front.
Yeah, exactly.
That is true.
It's easy to park up front.
With Mahomes winning on Sunday, where do you put him right now in that battle against Brady that everybody's going to be talking about for the next 10 years?
2, and I don't know if he'll ever get to number 1. Even if he gets 8 Super Bowls, there's still going to be the argument for Brady over Mahomes.
Why?
Because Brady beat Mahomes twice, conference championship and Super Bowl.
No, that is, you know what? Listen.
Even Mahomes said it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although, if you think about it, the difference is, you said it best. Mahomes is the best improviser in the league, and Brady never really needed to improvise. He just got it done.
Right.
Big play. Look, what was Tom Brady's kryptonite? The New York Giants.
Nick Foles.
Yeah. And
Decent
he lost
quarterbacks.
And he lost to the Eagles. NFC East.
Decent
Eli.
quarterbacks were his kryptonite.
Crazy. All right, this came in earlier on Twitter X from King Eric. I think the most common thing people give up for Lent is alcohol. Maybe try giving up alcohol.
Too easy. I don't drink that much.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be that tough for you.
Yeah.
All right. We didn't drink as much in Vegas as we did? When we were at the NFL Media Night, that was the night. That's when we both were going after those tequila drinks.
Yeah, and the problem is we were exhausted. We were working 14-hour days. So if we would have drank anything, we would have fell asleep.
You know, that's why Foss and Chris are at so many more parties than we are. They show up like a half an hour before their show. As soon as the show's over, they're kind of floating around. Then they leave.
Buy merch.
It's an easy buying merch, going to the NFL experience. It's an easy day for them.
You guys are working.
We worked 10, 11-hour days. Every day we were there.
Were you gambling at all? Vegas.
No. Adrian gambled for about a half hour.
Was there a casino in your hotel?
Every hotel
in Vegas has a casino.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So there's no such thing as hotels in Vegas without casinos. They're all over the place. So yeah, you can't avoid it. But anyway, but it was fun. It was a good trip. All right. When we come back, we've got one more segment with you. Let's go around the horn. We'll talk about everything.
Let's do it.
All right, beautiful. Lane's here with us. Sports Talk continues. 600 ESPN El Paso. Hour number 2 of 3 is underway. Welcome back, everybody. He's Adrian Broadus. I'm Steve Kaplowitz. We've got Lane Frank with us, the host of the Schoolyard Sports Podcast, along with River Oaks Properties, making Lane's appearances here for us every single week. I love that. In fact, whenever you check out shopping centers all over the city, on the far west side, Paseo del Norte, you can also check them out on the far east side of town. And every time you go, take a look and see if you see the River Oaks Properties sign. That's what they do. They build shopping centers all over El Paso. In fact, you never know. You could be, if you have a local business, you could be going into one of their shopping centers. It's River Oaks Properties, and they will continue to develop around El Paso, and they are proudly bringing us Lane here each and every week on the program. All right, we talked football. That's over and done with. Who's your early pick for the 2024 season? Who's going to be your Super Bowl 59 pick?
I would say run it back with the Chiefs, but there are a lot of great teams out there. Underrated pick that I'm not seeing anywhere, Cincinnati Bengals.
If Joe Burrow stays healthy.
I think Joe Burrow can stay healthy. I think that
the problem is he hasn't done enough of that throughout the first part of his career.
I think for the NFC, Niners definitely a great option, but Dre Greenlaw is going to be out the whole season, which is kind of a bummer for them right there. I think another team out of the NFC, Green Bay Packers. Look out for them. Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, great team.
Could Harbaugh go back-to-back?
Harbaugh could definitely go back-to-back. That's a great point right there. They brought some great staff. Steve Klingscale from Michigan, Mike Elston from Michigan. free Greg Gauss from Michigan. He's taking Jesse Minter from Michigan, Ben Herbert from Michigan, taking our whole staff, but he's going to do a great job with it. I think he just took his old head coach from the Bears as a special assistant to the head coach of the Chargers. I didn't know the guy's name. I never heard of him before, but probably your time, Bears head coach. Chargers are going to be great. They just need the pieces. They need a head coach to put all the pieces together, and that's Jim Harbaugh.
Would this be the first time in the history of football that a coach could win a national championship and a Super Bowl championship in consecutive years?
I believe so. Pete Carroll, he had a few years of separation. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever, right, exactly. I don't think it's ever happened before in terms of consecutive years. That would be pretty remarkable if it happens. But think about how stacked the AFC is right now. You already have Baltimore with John Harbaugh. Now you've got Jim in with the Chargers. You still have Andy Reid with the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you go down the list and you see you've got Buffalo still knocking on the door. Cincinnati knocking on the door.
Houston.
Right, Houston, and D'Amico Ryans. If the Jets can get a healthy Aaron Rodgers, the big if, $1 million question, but if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy and they can build him an offensive line, they'll become a player in the AFC next year.
I think Robert Saleh, too big of an ego, doesn't get it done.
How can you have a big ego when you're terrible? How does that happen? Like you say, now, do you feel he has too big of an ego just because of what you watched on Hard Knocks?
No, not just that. Just the way the whole Zach Wilson situation went. Just from stuff about Robert Saleh that I don't love. I don't think that they should have a defensive head coach right now.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in it.
All right, so you're not you're just not a Jets believer because of all the negs there.
I used to be a Jets believer, not anymore.
I got you. All right. And
Lions.
You mentioned the Lions in the NFC. We got the Lions. We have the 49ers. We have the Packers. Could the Cowboys be in the mix next year?
Cowboys could definitely be in the mix next year. Team we're all forgetting about, Philadelphia Eagles. They could definitely be in the mix next year. I mean, they were 10-0 at one point this year, 10-1. They got a chance.
How about the Bucs? You think they could have a stronger year next season?
That was going to be my next point. Yes, they can definitely have a stronger year next year. Now they might lose Mike Evans, they might lose Chris Godwin, which would be a massive downgrade. And I believe if that happens, you move on from Baker Mayfield. You start fresh with a new quarterback. But if they can bring those guys back, you bring Baker Mayfield back, you're back in the playoffs.
We interviewed Kirk Cousins, who's rehabbing from his Achilles injury. Who's quarterbacking the Vikings next season?
I want it to be Drake May. Actually, my podcast, Schoolyard Sports, episode 157, for the mock draft, I had them trading up to pick number 2, selecting Drake May. They need a quarterback. I love Kirk Cousins, but Justin Jefferson isn't going to sit around forever playing for Kirk Cousins. I saw that they might bring in Sam Darnold. I like Darnold. He's not going to sit around and play for Darnold. They need a gunslinger. They need a new guy. Drake May is that guy.
Kirk Cousins is going to ask for a lot of money this offseason, and he's coming off an Achilles injury. That is a dangerous combination if you're Minnesota. I would much rather maybe go for that high draft pick and hand him the keys to the car than hope that 35-year-old Kirk Cousins comes back, or 36-year-old Kirk Cousins comes back healthy.
Now, Kirk Cousins has had some MVP-like seasons in the past. This year, even before the Achilles injury, I just don't think that he can win the playoffs, and I don't think they get it done.
All right. We talked about the Steve Wilkes firing earlier. In your mind, is that a mistake for San Francisco?
When you bring up Mike Vrabel being available, I say no, not a mistake. Mike Vrabel could be the best defense coordinator in the game. Also, Bill Belichick, does he want to be a defense coordinator?
My answer to that is absolutely not.
Okay.
What about you?
I said there's a chance.
Adrian, you think Belichick would ever want to come back as a DC?
I'm just going to say this. Belichick and the Shanahan family are very close. So I'm just going to throw it out. He's closer to not Kyle, his dad. He's closer to Mike for sure. But it's not necessary. It wouldn't be far-fetched in my opinion.
Let's go to the phones. Dan's joining us next on the show. Dan, you're up. How are you today?
Hey, I just, it's getting to the level of absurdity out there in San Francisco, in my opinion. So you're firing a guy that you bring in that held the best quarterback in the league in check for an entire game. Your decision to keep an inept quarterback like Purdy cost you the game. Purdy had to have someone else pass a touchdown pass for him. He has so many weapons outside, it's embarrassing that he didn't use them. That's not a defensive issue, that's an offensive issue. And there's no way in heck Belichick is going to be anybody's defensive coordinator. That would be an insult to the man's legacy.
Depends on how bad he wants to come back, right, Dan?
Fire Cal. And, of course, Belichick would take that team because he'd win a Super Bowl next year because he'd go out and get a capable quarterback. Purdy is not the answer. I'm sorry. I'm disgusted by them firing that defensive coordinator. That man did his job. The defense did their job. All those Pro Bowlers on offense failed. Kittle, all of those weapons he have, and the best you can do is have one wide receiver throw a touchdown pass to another one on a gimmick play, please.
Dan, who's your team?
I'm a big fan of of KC. Okay. Used to love the Cowboys. But there's certain players I like, and so I root for certain players because of some cultural issues that I have with football going back for generations in America.
I got you. It's just interesting to me because we took a lot of calls yesterday from a lot of people, and you are one of the few I've heard who are really critical of Brock Purdy as quarterback. In fact, talking about how they need to make a change. I've heard others say that he is a franchise quarterback, will get better. And it was interesting. We pulled up his numbers, during the regular season. 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 4,200 yards, 70% completion rating. Took him to the Super Bowl in year number 2. Beat the Lions with his legs and came back from 20 down at halftime. So we've seen things from Brock Purdy that make you look like you're watching a franchise quarterback. But as you pointed out yesterday and again today, you absolutely believe that Purdy is not the man for the job at San Francisco.
Let me put it to you like this, and just imagine this for a minute. You have racehorses outside. Do you remember the old little games we used to play with in the 70s where you put the little player on this board and it would start vibrating?
Yeah, electric football. We had a set at the house. Electric football,
yeah.
Sure.
Brock Purdy is moving at that speed. Everyone else around him is moving at light speed. If you put Jackson, if you put Mahomes, even if you put the young kid from Houston, if you put Kirk Cousins in that offense, do you mean to tell me he couldn't put up more than they need with all of those weapons on offense and Christian McCaffrey on offense? Remember, Jimmy G did not have McCaffrey. That is an embarrassing offense, and it's sick that they didn't win. And Carroll is supposed to be the offensive guru. They should have fired him because who's the common denominator for all their losses?
The coach.
He was there for all of them.
By the way,
how many defense coordinators can you go through?
By the way, if you had your choice, Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott, who you taking to lead the 49ers?
Neither.
You have to pick one.
Okay. I would take, based on just the potential, I would take Dak.
All right.
Because Shanahan could probably get his mind right.
McCarthy
for the Cowboys, he can't get his head right. 2 years in a row in the playoffs, he's brain dead in a playoff game. That's a coaching issue.
Dan, I love you. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you calling back
thank
today.
you.
All right, take care. Dan giving us a ring. Give me your thoughts. Give me your take on Dan's issue with Purdy, because as he said, he feels he's too slow and just not up to the speed of the rest of the team.
That was a great call, but I love Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy had a great season. If you watch some plays that he made, again, you said 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's a Kirk Cousins type of season. I don't see Jimmy G in any offense throwing for 30 touchdowns. Brock Purdy played great this season. He played well enough in the Super Bowl. Going back to the Steve Wilkes thing, Steve Wilkes played great, or had a great game plan in the Super Bowl without Talanoa Hufanga the whole entire playoffs. His best safety, one of the best safeties in the NFL, because he got hurt for the rest of the season. And Dre Greenlaw's replacement had one of the worst games that we've seen in Super Bowl history.
And Greenlaw's injury is exactly when Kansas City's offense started clicking.
Exactly.
Because suddenly Mahomes had a little more time to throw and wasn't being pressured like he was in the first quarter and a half.
And then Fred Warner has to take on another assignment. Just think of those things.
I understand. All right. Adrian, any thoughts on Dan?
I just am curious because there's an void for the 49ers to fill this offseason for their backup quarterback, and that's how Purdy was put into this position in the first place, right? I mean, he was the backup option at the time to Jimmy G, and Trey Lance wasn't ready at the time. So I'm curious, what do they do to address the backup quarterback position? Because I don't think all signs are pointing to the 49ers running it back with Purdy, but who's going to back him up next year? That's going to be, I think, a really key spot, and it's going to be interesting to see who that ends up being.
It will be. Sam Darnold was that guy this year, and I don't feel comfortable if I'm the 49ers putting the offense in Sam's hands.
I think Brock Purdy's the guy. I don't get the difference. I saw a mock draft them taking J.J. McCarthy, which wouldn't be a bad decision, but Brock Purdy's your guy. Yeah. He took you to a Super Bowl.
Baseball starting now. We just had on Pete Zamora in the first hour, the new manager of the El Paso Chihuahuas. You tell me, as we get ready for the start of the baseball season, the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers. Never thought you'd say that before. Who do you feel right now at this point, early on, that you're really excited about as we get ready for the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League out there in Arizona and Florida?
The Mets. No, I'm kidding.
Really?
I'm kidding.
I'm not excited about the Mets.
It cannot be the Mets. It's got to be the Dodgers, the great lineup they have of the stars, the utility guys, the rotation they have where they can put an absolute elite starter in their bullpen. It's great.
I agree with you. I'm excited about the Dodgers this year. I think they're going to be terrific. And the Dodgers are always good. But now, again, spending doesn't guarantee a World Series, but they made themselves that much better this offseason.
I know you say spending doesn't guarantee you a World Series, but it's baseball. You don't have to have chemistry with other guys on the team. These are stars.
Yes and no. How many times have we seen great players just not mesh? And I'm going to give you an example. The Padres. You put Tatis, Machado, Soto. You had that great offensive lineup. They didn't hit like they were supposed to. Pitching wasn't great either. I mean, Snell was the Cy Young, but they didn't have anything behind him. Musgrove never really performed like he's used to performing, and they were injured. So you never know. I mean, that's the beauty of the sport, is sometimes a couple of players go on the IL, and next thing you know, you're scrambling trying to see how good your minor league system is.
You have 3 leadoff guys, you have 3 cleanup guys on a team. Not all of them can take that number 4, number 3, number 1 spot. So that's kind of, I guess, what I think right there. And it's also, I'm not the main guy on this team. Maybe I can relax a little bit. Maybe Manny will take care of it. Maybe Juan will take care of it. Maybe Fernando can take care of it. That's one thing right there.
Who is the main guy with the Dodgers right now? Is it Shohei? Because you've got Freeman, you are so loaded on that team. What's that? Mookie Betts? Yeah. Who's your alpha male on a team that's filled with them?
I think Shohei and Yoshinobu Yamamoto will know their role really well. That this is Mookie's team, this is Freddie Freeman. They're the leaders of this team. We're the stars. They're the leaders.
I don't know, but Shohei is one of those guys that just, he
doesn't have an ego.
No, he doesn't.
Backseat to Mike Trout.
He probably would take a backseat to anybody, but what I'm saying is all he does is produce.
For sure, but he's not going to be the guy who's going to be a leader of this team. That's going to be Mookie. That's going to be Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun. Do you feel like the Dodgers are just going to run away with the NL pennant this year?
Oh, without a doubt. Unless the New York Mets can make a run. I don't see that happening.
Your
eyes went sad right there.
You keep throwing the Mets at me. It's so depressing. They're running their organization. They hired the former GM of the Brewers, and I feel like the Mets have suddenly turned into Milwaukee. They're running like they have no money.
No budget. They run like they have no budget when Steve Cohen's the richest owner in North American sports.
It's so frustrating. It's almost like Steve Cohen spent for a couple of years, decided I'm not getting my return. Let me go and try to hire a very budget-friendly GM and make this a little different when it comes to spending. Are the Mets going to keep Pete Alonso? They already said they're going to lose him, and they're going to let him go into free agency and then hope to bring him back.
That's ridiculous, in my opinion. I love Pete, but I think they trade him.
Do you?
If you're going to let him go into free agency and you're having a rough year, they're going to trade him at the deadline and try to get him back in free agency.
Yeah, but if you trade him at the deadline, you're not going to get the return you would normally get because he's a rental for somebody. That's the problem.
You trade him now? Because you can't do that now.
No, you can't. Season hasn't even started yet.
Then extend him.
Well, they don't want to do that. They've already said they're going to wait because he's a Boris client. They're going to wait till after the season.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, listen.
Because then when that happens, it's a free-for-all.
157 drops tomorrow. Super Bowl wrap-up. What else you have planned?
What else do I have planned? I have my NFL mock draft. Got my NBA midseason awards show. Great episode. Go tune in.
Excellent. How's tennis going at Coronado?
Tennis going great. Had a good tournament last week. Got some stuff coming up.
Good. When you say you have some stuff coming up, what does that mean?
Just more tournaments.
Okay.
Be fun.
Are you playing? Did you win last week?
I got 4th place last week, but we had a massive upset going to the semifinals. It was fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
Who is the? Yes. Go ahead, Adrian.
Oh, no, keep going. I have an NBA question.
Who is the team to beat in terms of high school tennis in El Paso?
Used to be, I'll say it's Coronado because we won district for 25 straight years, but Franklin did upset us this year, but I'll still go with us, Coronado. I think we're the best team in town.
Do we have spring tennis?
We do have spring tennis, but it's not team tennis, it's individual.
Okay, so for you, that's a chance to try to move up. What are you playing right now on the individual side?
Playing doubles right now.
So you're not doing any singles?
Not yet, no. Doubles right now.
But you're still a sophomore.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the goal for you to be in singles competition by your junior and senior year?
I love both. I'm fine with playing both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doubles to me is such an interesting version because you really have to rely on your partner. That's the biggest thing.
Not necessarily. If you mesh well, it's all good.
You mesh well with your partner?
Yep.
How's your net game?
Net game's been great.
Excellent. Okay, Adrian.
All right, NBA question for you, Lane. Today we heard that the Warriors tried to trade for LeBron, right? I want to ask you 4 different scenarios. What's more likely to happen in the summer? Because this obviously didn't happen now, but something might drop in the summer. Number 1, LeBron stays with the Lakers and they make a pact to draft his son. Number 2, the Lakers trade him to the Warriors for Kuminga, Klay Thompson, maybe picks. Number 3, they trade him to the Knicks. LeBron goes over to New York for Julius Randle, Josh Hart, and every pick that they have. Or Philadelphia. They trade him over there, and they get anybody they want except for Embiid and Maxey plus the picks. What do you think happens over the summer?
I think they would definitely get Maxey if they trade him to the Sixers. I want the Knicks one to happen, but I don't see the Lakers trading for 2 former Lakers, Julius Randle and Josh Hart. But I hope the Knicks one happens. I think the most likely out of right now, which shouldn't happen, is re-sign with the Lakers.
I don't know if he wants to stay. It's such a good question. I'm not sure. Warriors would be interesting, though. Put him with Steph. Wouldn't that be fascinating?
Would be fascinating.
I like that.
I think Warriors fans and Philly fans boo LeBron. I really do.
I think the
Even
Knicks
if he
would love
wears
to have
their
him.
jersey.
Knicks fans would love him.
Oh, Knicks fans would
He'd be
welcome
the
him
toast.
home.
He'd be the toast of the garden because the Knicks never got Jordan. And if they could find a way to get LeBron at the end of his career, I think Knicks fans would be all in on that. I really do. Ben Stiller, Spike Lee, they'd be all over that.
I was thinking about it today. A lineup of LeBron, Jalen Brunson. It would work great.
Anunoby. Love it.
Oh, it'd be great.
My goodness.
That's
Hey,
the team LeBron desires.
were you at the UTEP New Mexico State game last Saturday night?
I was.
How great was that atmosphere and energy?
Oh my gosh, one of the best atmospheres ever in the Dawn.
And they play and one of their best game, the best game of the season.
I know New Mexico State's having a horrible season, but still, great win.
Yeah, I thought Miners did everything they needed to. How'd you like those throwback Texas Western unis?
Oh, they were good. First time wearing them with the new Adidas?
Yes.
Yeah, they're great.
And they're making replicas available for sale, too. Those are sweet-looking jerseys. I like those.
The whiteout was all great. They gave you the T-shirts. It's nice.
All right.
Were you
awesome
there?
Stuff. I was there.
Okay.
We flew back purposely on Friday night so we could make it to that game on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a great game.
I'm with you. Hey, we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for the time, Lane.
Talk soon. Thanks,
All right.
Adrian.
Good stuff, Lane.
Lane Frank joining us here, 21 past, as we continue on Sports Talk. All right, from Schoolyard Sports over to Charlie One. He's back with this traffic update. 26 past the hour. Sports Talk continues. Along with Adrian Broadus, I'm Steve Kaplow. It's approaching the midway point of the show. Cinta de Oro is going to be dropping by in about 35 minutes. He's got a big wrestling match coming up this weekend we'll talk about with Cinta. Always fun getting a chance to see him. I've got a caller on the line ready to go. I've got 2 lines open as well, 505-6009. Enrique Ortiz messaged in on Twitter and X and said, the Brock Purdy bashing continues. All due respect to Dan, the 49ers made the Super Bowl. Dallas hasn't been to the conference championship since 1995. When did making the Super Bowl become a failure? 49ers accomplished great things this season.
It did, and you have to. I mean, by facts, you have to include Brock Purdy in those conversations with quarterbacks who've come out of college recently who've lost the Super Bowl, like Jalen Hurts, like Joe Burrow. Brock Purdy is in that conversation, and you know what? Some might say that he's not as talented. I would say that he's not as talented as either of those two guys, but he got his team there, and a lot of it was because of him, and I was really impressed with his postseason run.
Meanwhile, the news that Joe Rod's been following this afternoon, it's so sad, but we found out that FC Juarez made it official this afternoon that one of their forwards, Diego Puma Chavez, passed away overnight in an automobile accident. Chavez was just 28 years old. That is really unbelievable. Now, the match for FC Juarez against Puebla will go on as scheduled. Despite the death of Chavez, no official word was made until earlier. They did say that Liga MX will pay homage to Puma ahead of tonight's match between Atlas and Pumas. And then a minute of silence will be observed before kickoff, as well as a pause in play in the 13th minute, which happens to be Chavez's number. He was number 13. So, again, terrible news, finding that one of their players was in prime of his career, 28, passes away in an automobile accident last night.
That's tragic, Steve. I mean, just a real tragic day that's really kind of shaking the sports world between that one, the tragedy out at the Kansas City Super Bowl parade shooting. I've got more updates on that here at the bottom of the hour.
We'll do that as we continue, but first let's go to George. He joins us next, 505-6009. George, welcome aboard. How are you?
What's up, Steve? How you doing, brother?
Good, George. What's going on, my man? How you been?
Let's touch on a couple of things. You know, UTEP win over NMSU. I was completely very, very pleased with the outcome. I'm glad they showed out and showed up. Everybody played an outstanding game, and it was just an amazing atmosphere to be at the Dawn and see so many white shirts out there, and it was a festive atmosphere. I enjoyed it completely, and you know, I wish and I hope that they carry this over going forward. It just time will have to tell how that unit can gel going on to the later days that they have. I'm hoping for the best. That's really on that. And piggybacking on one of the things that one of your earlier callers said about Purdy, you know, I totally agree in some sense. I'm not bashing the kid. He's good, you know, but you have to remember this is his second year. He's led him to a Super Bowl, but it hasn't been on the legs of him. It's been a supporting cast around him. So, yeah, he did good, but he has a ceiling. He's not a Brady. He's a game manager. That's all he is. And he did what was asked of him and led his team to a Super Bowl. You know? Now, I don't agree that the coach, the defensive coordinator, should have lost his job. I think it's all on the shoulders of Kyle Shanahan because he's the coach. He's the one that has to get his players up to par on whatever rules change or what's going on. And I think I agree. The offense didn't show up. Because when you give Mahomes the ball at the end of a game, he's gonna show out. Because that's just who he is.
George, it's so interesting because I guess there really are a lot of people divided over Brock Purdy's future. You know, is he limited? Is he one of these quarterbacks that kind of hit his ceiling early and, you know, you're never going to see him improve? Will he take the next step and truly become an elite signal caller? Because right now, if you had to put Purdy in your list of NFL quarterbacks, where do you have him? You have him in like that 8 to 10 range? Is that about where you've got him ranked right now?
Right. I mean, and a lot of it has to do with how his supporting cast is going to elevate him, because he's not the kind of quarterback that's gonna give you that wow factor that's gonna do something incredible like Mahomes did, you know. And you're gonna write that kid because you know Mahomes can pull it out. He's just got that ability.
Yeah.
And this kid, that's all he is a game manager, which there's nothing wrong with that. But when you put him in critical game situations, he won't. He doesn't have the ability yet to do what a Mahomes can do to you.
Well, all I know is this: as a Jets fan, George, I would take Brock Purdy every single day, every day, not even question. By the way, maybe who knows? Maybe Zach Wilson becomes the backup quarterback at San Francisco next year, and the Jets trade him to San Fran.
That's possible.
You never know. Never know. They were in the same draft class, too. So, George, good job. Appreciate the phone call. It's always good to hear your voice. Thanks for getting in. We'll get to Ray right after Adrian. He's standing by. Bottom of the hour, Sports Center's next. Tell you what's even worse when you hear this story. First off, the fact that somebody died at a parade is just, it's you know, I mean, you just don't even know what to say. You're at a loss for words. But when you hear that there are 11 children shot and seriously injured, it's just, I mean, that's so, it's awful. It's absolutely awful.
Wow.
We're talking kids here.
And 9 of those 11 have gunshot wounds, Steve. That's awful.
Yeah, it
Tragic.
Really is. It's. I mean, can't even imagine. All right, we'll keep things moving right now with the phones. Let's go to Ray. He joins us next on the lines. 505-6009. How you doing, Ray?
Well, Steve, Adrian, man, it's tough to come on and talk about sports after that.
I know it really is, Ray. You're not kidding. But then again, look, we've had shootings. It's become way too common, and the fact that it's happening now at the end of a championship parade is just it's a sad commentary of where we are. So let's put it that way.
Yes, I agree with you. It's a parade. It's of people coming together of a common interest to have a celebration. And when you can't go to something like that without fearing for your life now, I mean, what is this world coming to? I mean, it's just a shame that people went there to cheer on their team. And now, and I appreciate everybody coming up forward, you guys and everybody else today saying, and the Chiefs were all accounted for. I get that because obviously that's the icon. But there are teams, meaning families, who did lose members of their team today, who this day will never be the same, as we all know from what happened in 2019. Mm-hmm. But, all that being said, and on the day of Ash Wednesday, it's just to pray for them, to pray for their families, and hope they somehow get through this and are able to move forward. And, with all that in the sports world, with the Super Bowl, my take on it is, I'm not a 49ers fan. As you guys know, Adrian, I'm a Rams fan. I'm from L.A., and I know I'd be hard-pressed for you to know that I'd ever say this, but if Matthew Stafford was to go down or say he was going to retire and Brock Purdy became available, I would take Brock Purdy in a second. Mm-hmm. I heard you ask, where would you put him? I think right now, and as a fan of an opponent team, in the division, having to face him twice, I put Brock Purdy up in the top 5 in the league. If you're going to tell me anybody else and try to argue that, no, it's this guy or that guy, okay, when did this guy or that guy last make the Super Bowl? And all I keep hearing anywhere that I listen to sports is that that's how we measure everything. It's got to be by rings, by championships, and it's got to be by getting there. There were 2 teams dancing in the end while everybody else was sitting on the side on the bench with their back against the wall watching these 2 teams dance. So, to get there is one thing. Yeah, there's only going to be one team standing at the end in every championship game. But what it takes to get there, and I hear everybody talk about Brock Purdy as a game manager, but, you look at him and, he did what was asked of him, of course. Every quarterback does. I mean, there was a pass. Yes, I think he missed that pass at Deebo Samuel. He should have hit that one. But other than that, I don't agree with the fact that, they got rid of their defensive coordinator as the fall guy for all this because it was Steve Wilkes and his defense that got them a fumble and got them an interception.
That's true.
Now it's up to Kyle Shanahan and his offense to do something with that, and they did nothing.
Look, Baltimore didn't fire their defensive coordinator. Buffalo didn't fire their defensive coordinator. Miami did not fire their defensive coordinator. The fact that, you're right, Wilkes does not deserve to be made the scapegoat for this, but sadly, that's the case.
And what I think with that, Steve and Adrian, I don't know how you feel about this, but what I think with that is I'm all for the Rams. Go get him. Raheem Morris did his job in L.A., and he's, good luck, and God bless him. Hope he does great as a head coach. We need a defensive coordinator. The way that guy turned those linebackers around and turned that defense around, oh, man, if the Rams could go get Steve Wilkes, and you know how bitter he might be to want to go after the 49ers,
sure,
full throttle, go get that guy and make him our defensive coordinator.
What do you think, Adrian? What do you think about that?
You know what? As long as it's not Brandon Staley, that's the rumor all around. Just Brandon Staley.
No.
Please.
I had to suffer through Brandon Staley with my son, and that's my second favorite team, to watch him coach. And no, because that defense couldn't do crap against anybody with the Chargers. Do not bring Brandon Staley. You know how many people realize and would recognize him? When he comes in that stadium, they've had to put up with him for how many years at the Chargers? They don't want to see him in blue and gold with the Rams anymore.
Good point.
One last thing. Let me say this to you guys, or two. Let me say real quick. I heard Lane earlier talk about game improvisers, that Patrick Mahomes is the best right now, the best the game has ever seen. I have to take a little bit of disagreement with that because old enough, and maybe he's not old enough yet, or not old enough at all. You guys, I think, are. At least Steve, I think you are. Game improvisers. I remember we went from Fran Tarkington to a Randall Cunningham to a John Elway. those guys improvise pretty good as well on the field. And I know right now we see Patrick Mahomes and this generation, that's who they see.
Yep.
And I'd have to say right now, yes, he is. And lastly but not least, Adrian, don't let him give you such a hard time about what you're doing for Lent, because for the last 20 years, my wife and I have given up sugar. Not sweets, sugar. She got me into this, and to this day, I do not put sugar in my coffee any longer. I don't put sugar in my tea, and I can barely get through half a can of Coke anymore without it being too sweet. Try going that route. Not just sweets, but anything with sugar.
Wow. All right, Ray. Good job. Appreciate it. What do you think about that? No sugar.
Man, that's way too tough.
Ray's extreme. He's extreme. I like it.
That's right.
All right. We'll come back. Final 20 minutes of hour number 2, and then still to come. Cinta de Auto is going to join us here inside our 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studios. Stay with us. Back with more right here. 600 ESPN El Paso. X from our pal, Bovine Fecal Matter, one of my favorite Twitter handles. Hey, Steve and Adrian, could you give the minor fans of men's and women's basketball a summation of the season so far? Hashtag request of a legend. A monologue or soliloquy would be nice. Well, you know what we're going to do right now for you, Bovine? BFM? We're going to each give you a version of this. Adrian, I'll even give you the option. Would you like to start, or would you like to go last?
I'll go last.
Okay.
I can start with the women, though.
You want to do the women, I'll do the men?
I'll start women's. You close it out with the women's. If I missed anything, you start with the men's. I'll close it out if you missed anything.
Go ahead.
Okay. Year one of the return for Keitha Adams is here. They're 8-14. I think if you talk to anybody within this basketball program, it's not. I think frustration is not fair to say. It's building. It's like the upswing. It's building on this team. It's building the foundation, and it's trying to do it with a mixed bag of newcomers and then players who've been around the block for a while. They're not a good road team. They're 0-7 on the road right now. But when they play at home and they play together, they're obviously going to connect and they're obviously going to win. And I've liked the fight that they've shown as of late. Prior to this 3-game losing streak, they had back-to-back wins on at their home against La Tech and Sam Houston, which I think those are program building wins. So as the season winds down, expectations are not very high for me going into Huntsville, Alabama for this team, but to count them out would be unfair. And to say that next year could be a better year would definitely be the route I would go. So a little bit of a rebuild this year for UTEP women's basketball.
They can't win on the road just like the men. I think that's obvious. I feel like they're lacking leadership, and I feel like they just don't have players that sometimes it's hard to explain in sports, but you almost need players that are like, give me the ball. I want the ball. I'll take us home. They don't have that. And when you're kind of leaderless in that regard, you'll win your share of games, but they just don't have players that can take over. And that hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll develop that in the next couple of years. I do think that women's basketball needs to get themselves an NIL because I feel like the dollars would go a lot farther in this at UTEP women's basketball than they would in other sports like the men. But I do feel like Keitha is the kind of coach that she's got the fire going. She wants to bring back the winning ways at UTEP. And hopefully by this time next year, once she has some things in place financially to maybe help deliver that they'll be on their way. So I'm a believer. I just feel like they need more weapons. They need more tools. As far as the men go, look, like the women, they're winless on the road. They've been competitive, but you know what? Competitive's not good enough. And when they've lost on the road, fans have been so upset. They want a coaching change. They're already tired of Joe Golding after 3 seasons. They've been just fed up with the lack of progress and the fact that UTEP is still a very mediocre team. And I feel like going into this road trip here with Western Kentucky tomorrow and Middle Tennessee on Saturday, at best, they'll probably be able to hope for a split, but most likely they might lose both of these games because they just have not shown the ability at all to win on the road, which is sad. Home, they're a much different story. They're a much better team. They're a better offensive team. Their leaders shine. They feed off the crowd. And they just have two personalities, unfortunately, BFM. This is a team that does have some leaders. They do have veteran players. And those leaders have come up big for them at home. The problem is those leaders have been empty on the road, and that's the issue. This team has a split personality. And as far as going into Huntsville here in a couple of months, or in a month, I should say, I don't know what to expect. I really don't. But unfortunately, we have just not seen enough away from the Don Haskins Center to feel like this team can be a player when it comes to postseason basketball.
I would characterize this team as up and down all season long. Great defense, poor offense at times and stretches. They can show what they could do offensively, but not reliable. A group that's senior laden. I mean, just call it what it is. Tay Hardy, Calvin Solomon, Zid Powell, Jonathan Dos Anjos, even though he's been hurt and comes off the bench. The three I named first are all starters right there, or were routine starters, like Calvin Solomon in his case. He's only started 9 of 21 games. Last year he started every single game for the Miners at the 4 and 5 position, and this year it's been a different role for him. So with that change comes a little bit of an adjustment across the board. I feel like the front court has taken a step back this year. I feel like the back court has taken a step forward because they've got young talent in their back court, a la David Terrell Jr., a la Trey Horton. I like the younger pieces that they have in their back court. As far as Huntsville goes, you could tell me this team is a first-round exit, or you could tell me this team is playing in the CUSA championship game, and I wouldn't be surprised either way. I really wouldn't. And that's just the team that this is. They play great when they have favorable matchups, and when it's not favorable, they lose.
I'd be more surprised if they go to the championship than if they get bounced in the first round. And the reason is, I don't know if this team is capable of putting together 3 excellent performances away from the Don Haskins Center, which is what they're going to need to try to win this thing.
Yeah, maybe even more if the actual shakeup in the bracket requires them to play an extra game. So yeah, you're exactly right there. They've given you zero reason to trust them on the road. So in a neutral site, why do you trust them?
Scariest thing is this: their best performance of the season was against New Mexico State, by far. There is no doubt that if that team played anywhere close to the kind of basketball they played last Saturday night, this could easily be a championship team in Conference USA.
I'll tell you this, behind closed doors, this locker room believes they're a championship team. And they have belief that this team can go far in the CUSA tournament because they don't like Conference USA and they don't feel like there's really a standout team right now across this league.
Well, that's good to hear. Anyway, there's your answer. We'll come back, final hour next. Cinta de Auto scheduled to join us inside our studios. Stay with us. Sports Talk continues. 600 ESPN El Paso. All right, welcome back, everybody. Third and final hour is underway. So we continue here on Sports Talk. We've got Cinta de Auto scheduled to appear. And, in fact, 4 days from now at the Almeida Shrine on Alabama Street, he is going to be going back into the ring. Excited about that. And he'll get a chance to talk to us a little bit about that this hour, as he makes his way here to promote his matchup at the Almeida Shrine out there on Alabama Street. So excited about that, and excited about the Lucha Libre performances that will be happening here. And by the way, we're talking about not just, men's professional wrestling. There will be female matches as well, Adrian. So both men's and women's Lucha Libre performing here in El Paso.
Hey, I love Cinta de Oro, man. It's awesome that we have a professional wrestler like this in our own backyard, and always great when we get a chance to see him perform live.
Yeah, it's true. That is very true. So anyway, excited about it, and looking forward to having him drop in with us here in just a little bit. So hopefully we'll get a chance and have him pop into the studios in just a few minutes as he makes his way over here. Meanwhile, if you're just tuning into the program, it's been a good show so far. Been a lot of fun with us here on the show. In fact, we started off in our 4 o'clock hour meeting Pete Zamora, the new skipper for the El Paso Chihuahuas. He will be managing the team here in 2024. He actually joined us from his spring training facility out there in Peoria. We were excited about that. And then Lane Frank dropped in and stopped by our 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studios. Pete Zamora joined us on our Longhorn Distributing Hotline, where all of our guests on the phones always appear, and just a lot of fun. Tomorrow, I need to make a programming announcement. Tomorrow, we are going to be on for just 30 minutes. That's it. Oh, Cinta is in the building, Adrian. If we can get him in, that'd be great. 30 minutes tomorrow from 4 to 4:30. In fact, John Teicher is going to join us. We're working on trying to get Adam Teicher as well. So, yes, looking forward to having both John and Adam Teicher together on the show tomorrow. So, 4 to 4:30, that is the 30-minute abbreviated edition of the program. And for us, it's always fun when we can come on for a half an hour and try to pack it all in just a 30-minute period of time. Excellent. Thank you, sir. In fact, I'm excited about our next guest. He is back. He is here. He is all masked up, which I would expect nothing less from the one and only Cinta de Otto, who joins us once again. I don't know what's tougher for you, training or hustling to get to this radio station in time for an interview. You tell me.
I mean, I try to always be on time because it's one of those things that they say when you're early, you're on time, and when you're on time, you're late. So I like it. I always try to be, on time. But today traffic is it's kind of crazy here in El Paso. Is Ash Wednesday, is Valentine's Day. There's a lot of things going on. But I'm here. I'm happy to be here with you. Thanks again for the invitation, and I'm excited about what is to come this coming weekend.
I noticed you've got the Valentine's Day mask on right now. You have the red and black with the gold trim. It's very nice.
Thank
and you. Again, you've told me that you have so many masks. Is it difficult to decide which one you're going to pick out when you do these interviews?
It's usually is in the spur of the moment. I try to always dress up, but for the occasion.
Yes.
Sometimes I have a little bit of time, and I end up doing masks for a certain time of the year, for Christmas, for Thanksgiving. It all depends. But I knew that I had this color. I had a lot of stuff that was red, so it was pretty easy to pick it out today.
Cinta, I saw the kicks too. You're even matching with the dunks right now. I love it.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Thank you. Yeah,
you've got the kicks on, huh?
I have a little bit of I like to always be combined, and I figured out I was like, today's a great day to wear black and red.
So here's the other question. Okay, for you, as much as you love the masks, are the shoes also a big part of the Cinta de Otto wardrobe collection?
I think it is. Now it is. When I was younger, I didn't really pay attention to shoes. It was like whatever my dad bought me, I was fine with it. I never really paid attention if it was a certain brand. It was as long as I had shoes, I didn't really matter. But as I got older, and then shoes became a thing, then you start learning a little bit about it. And then I ended up buying some shoes here in El Paso at a mall, and I ended up meeting a gentleman that became a very good friend of mine. He was the one that really started me telling me, hey, we got these shoes in. Would you like them? So I started buying them. And then later on, as my career went along, I got to meet a lot of people from other places, and I got to do a lot of collaborations with them.
Did you ever get a really good shoe hookup? Was that something that happened during the career where people told you, you know what, I've got you taken care of. Whatever you need, you let us know, and we'll get you done.
Yes. Yeah. He's a great friend of mine. He's actually from New York. During that time, he was a vice president of Foot Locker USA.
Really?
Now he's a president of Foot Locker, so it's pretty cool to be able to meet a lot of people. But I got to meet him because we made the project of the Cinta shoes in 2017. We ended up doing a theme of shoes celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month.
Oh, that's very cool.
So I got my own shoe, which is pretty crazy.
Were people able to buy that shoe?
Yeah, but it was very limited. They only made, I think, between 200 and 300 pairs. It was very, very limited. So I think they're online. People are selling them, but they're pretty expensive.
What was the company that made the shoes?
It was a collaboration with Foot Locker through with a designer called John Alexander.
Okay.
And the shoe that they picked was the Reebok Classic.
Oh, nice.
So it was through Foot Locker. They do a lot of collaborations, especially wrestling wise now. They work with AEW, they work with WWE, with different companies, so it's pretty cool.
Speaking of AEW, last week we were at Super Bowl Radio Row, had the opportunity to talk to Darby Allin, who was an interesting interview. We enjoyed him. And then we met Tony Khan and had Tony on the show, and he was talking about wanting to come back to El Paso because he liked it so much last year. He feels that, you know what, he needs to bring another big televised show back to El Paso. Yeah,
I got to take my son for that show, actually. There's a lot of very good friends that work with AEW now, and it was pretty crazy because we were there. They gave me some tickets. Penta hooked me up with some tickets, so I was there sitting down, and all of a sudden I get a call on my phone, and I look at my phone and take out my phone, and I was like, it's Mark Henry. So I'm like, is he calling me? So I answered. He's like, where you at? I'm like, I'm watching the show. He's like, come say hi to me. So we ended up going backstage, and I got to see a lot of the boys, like Cesaro, Dean Ambrose, all those guys that I used to work with, and I got to meet a lot of the guys too that were in coming up in AEW. Some of them I didn't really know. And my son was wanting to take pictures with them, so I told him, I'm not gonna ask him. If you want pictures, you gotta ask them.
That's right.
So he ended up taking pictures with a lot of the guys, the new guys. It was pretty
that's cool. I know. I saw a picture with you and MJF, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah, it was my son actually, the one that took the picture with him.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, he asked him for a picture, and everybody was really cool backstage.
That's
really
awesome.
Cool.
Well, first off, they know you. You're wrestling royalty because you spent so many years in WWE with a lot of those guys. So they all know you, which is for you. Is it almost like a fraternity of brothers when you get to go back and see some of those guys?
It's good to see people, exactly. I think what I miss the most is it's that part of wrestling when you're traveling, the camaraderie of the locker room and all the great memories that, as you travel and you go through a lot because they become like your family. It's pretty crazy because when you're at home, obviously you enjoy being at home, but I used to spend most of the time on the road. Yes. And so they become my brothers, they become my family, and I still have a lot of bond with them in many things because we went through a lot of us.
How nice is it for you to have spent the last couple of years here in El Paso, be around your kids as they're getting older and growing up, and getting a chance to be a dad? Tell me what that's been like for you.
It's been great. I think in the beginning it was a little hard because I wasn't used to being at home so much. So I would always try to make things very quickly for my kids, what do you need at the same time? Because I was only here for a couple of days and then I had to leave. But now I really got to know what they want, what they need, what they like. I didn't know what clothes my son like or what kind of shoes he likes or the size that he wore. My daughter, my other kids too. So it was pretty crazy being able to now spend a lot of most of my time with them now. And I feel like I got to know who they are. But this is the stage which is the hardest because 4 of them are teenagers. It's 15, 14, 13, and 10.
Oh, my goodness. That's a tough age. Between 15 and 10, it's not easy. That's for sure.
Yeah, so it's pretty intense in many ways. But I always try and talk to them, and learn and tell them what I went through as a young kid. I always tell them, there's not a manual to be a parent, to become a father, but I do the best that I can because the way my father taught me, my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother. Yeah. And as we go along, and we make mistakes as parents, but the most important thing for me now is being able to enjoy them, their company, and I think they've enjoyed watching me wrestle now because they are a little more mature now. They understand what I do. They understand the significance of getting awards and all those little things that really matter.
How many of these kids do you think are going to follow in your footsteps when it's all said and done?
Well, my oldest, he's the one that's really into it. He tells me everything that's going on in AEW and then in WWE and then in AAA, El Consejo, because in social media it's a lot easier to follow it now.
That's right.
So he tells me this is going to be this pay-per-view and this guy beat this guy. And he asked me questions. How come Cody didn't beat Roman and all those little things. And my other son, Jorge, he plays football. He loves football. So he told me one time that you don't get mad if I don't like wrestling, right? I'm like, no, it's okay. I don't mind if you don't like it. Whatever you like is the best thing for you. If you like football, then let's focus on football.
That's good. Well, so look, you got athletes.
Yes.
And the girls, are they pretty athletic too?
One of them likes basketball and volleyball, and then my youngest one, she likes to dance. So she's in folklorico, and then she likes to be in the choir. I think she's gonna be more into the entertainment part of it.
You know what I love about your kids? They're all different. Everybody has different interests, different passions, and it's nice like that. I'm not to say that if all 5 were into wrestling, you wouldn't be a happy guy, but it's nice that they all have found their own niche that they're comfortable with, and that's how they're growing up.
Yeah, and I think that's when I have them together, and when I look at them, like every one of them looks alike, but it's so different in many ways. So I try always. I know what Adelise likes. I know what Naomi likes. Vienna, London, and Jorge, and I'm like. Or when we go out to eat, it's pretty intense because it's like you got to order for 6.
That's true.
Me and them. So
that's a good point.
So we take a little bit of more time when we go out to eat, but I've really enjoyed that. Like you were saying, that part of being a parent now. You know, I'm at home. I'm in El Paso. I get to see my dad a lot more. I get to go to the parent-teacher conference. I go to watch them, play or things like that I wasn't able to do. I remember when my son, my oldest, started wrestling when he was little. We were in a tour in Europe. And we were in England, and I was watching him wrestle for the first time on FaceTime. That's how I watched my son wrestle, and I was in the bus with everybody on tour, and those memories, it was tough for me because I wasn't there. But he understands now why I was gone for a while. And I remember I asked him one time, like, I don't know what we were talking about, and he was like, how come you were gone for so long? Like this couple of years, he asked me that when the pandemic started happening. Mm-hmm. I was like, because I was working. Maybe you didn't understand, the concept of it or what was going on. But my job allowed me to give you a good life and do what I do now, and being able to, help other kids too, but motivating them.
Well, I think it's beautiful. I've seen him with you in the ring when you used to, and you still do. I know it's kind of cool because he's coming up, and I don't know. It almost reminds me of Rey and Dominic Mysterio when Rey and Dominic was little when he first started being on TV, and now you see what he's able to do. And who knows? I mean, if your son is able to follow in your footsteps and then eventually establish a career of his own in the ring, I'm sure that would make you super happy as a dad.
Yeah, I'm a little more. If you can call it jealous of him, like being able to, I want to protect him in many ways. And I mean, whoever wants to have their kids on camera or whatever, that's fine. I don't mind that. But I think you have to earn it. And I told my son, like, I mean, you can wear a mask, but if you want to get in the ring and wrestle, you have to earn it. You have to train. You have to put yourself through, that rigorous schedule to be able to earn the, those stripes, like we say, So yeah. I think for him, he asked me this year because he's 15. I was like, can I wrestle? I'm like, no, not yet. You gotta still keep training, keep learning. Once you mature physically, also, it'll be a lot easier because then you can protect yourself from injuries. You see a lot of kids nowadays with ACL injuries, with all kinds of things that are going on in sports because the more and more that sports become a thing or have become a thing, like us as parents, sometimes we tend to push them more than what we have to, and I didn't want him to do that with him. When he started wrestling when he was 6 years old, and I ended up taking it out of when he was 10 because we would go to tournaments and parents would fight each other, and then they would yell at the kids, and the kids were like all pressure, and I didn't want my son to go through that or me going through that, so we ended up stepping back a little bit. But he loves wrestling, he enjoys wrestling, and we still keep training. That's good, and when the time is right, he'll have his opportunity. Yes, definitely. I love it. All right. We've got Cinta de Oro here. We've got Sunday wrestling, Elmira Shrine, 6331 Alabama Street. 5 o'clock, it's going to get started. When we come back, we'll talk more with them about who's going to be here, what matches are going to be happening, how you can get tickets, and why Cinta showed up wearing Kansas City Chiefs colors on the day of their parade. We'll find all that out next as we continue. But first, let's go to Charlie 1 and get this traffic update. Back here on Sports Talk, Sunday, 5 o'clock, Elmira Shrine, 6331 Alabama Street. Noche de Campeones. There you go. It's going to be fantastic. Well, listen, you live in El Paso long enough, you eventually start to pronounce. I can't roll my R's. Still can't roll my R's. It's embarrassing. Just can't do it. But at least Campeones, I've got a decent handle of that. A lot of good matches here, Cinta. I'm excited about this. And are you kind of the matchmaker putting this whole show together? Yes, I am the one that's putting everything together, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. What I've learned throughout many years of wrestling. This year will be 25 years of me being a professional wrestler, which is pretty. I never thought I would be wrestling for so long, but I feel very blessed to be able to do what I do. And, I've said it before, like, we always complain about, things don't go in our way, or what should I do to make the sport better? And I was like, what can I do to make it better? Well, create my own promotion so I can be able to do those things that I always sometimes criticize or think they're not, well for our sport. And that's why I ended up like doing this. It's called Noche de Campeones, Night of Champions. And what we're doing in this night, we're introducing the tag titles, the men tag titles, and the women's world championship for the version that I have, the IOCW, which is International Open Challenge, which was a title created during the pandemic in Spain.
Oh, wow.
And the idea of this title was to give the people or the wrestlers that didn't have that opportunity to exceed in a big company to be able to perform or wrestle for a world title. So it was pretty crazy because the first person that ever won it was a guy from Peru, Rayo. And then the second gentleman was Levi from Chile. And I'm the third one to win it. And then Andrade was the fourth person. And then I recovered the title.
So you and Andrade had a little bit of a battle going back and forth.
Yes. So we wrestled for many years. We got to wrestle one time in Arena, Mexico, many years ago. And then I got to see him when he got signed with the company, with WWE. His first tour actually was against me in Europe.
Oh, nice.
So we ended up doing a lot of, his first pay-per-view was to wrestle me also in Pittsburgh. So we got to do a lot of things together against each other. And so then when he got out of WWE, he got to AEW, he was able to wrestle independently throughout this time there. And we ended up having a match here in November, which I lost the title. And then I ended up recovering the title in his hometown, which is my dad's hometown also, in Gomez Palacio, Durango.
Wow, so you beat him in his hometown.
Yeah, he beat me in my hometown, then I beat him in his hometown.
I like that. It's like a little home and home is what it's in sports. We love that. So a lot of matches. How many of the wrestlers that are going to be there Sunday are El Pasoans?
Well, let me tell you. From here is Onyx, Conilao, Príncipe Condor is from Oaxaca, Zafiros from Ciudad Juárez, Miss Cat's from Germany, Divina and Estrellas are from Juárez, Bobby Lee's from León, Guanajuato, El Tigre, the Tiger, he's from Reynosa, Silverhawks from El Paso, Acantos from El Paso, Skybird from León, Guanajuato, but he lives in El Paso. Mm-hmm. Justin Taylor and Chris Watson, they come from Amarillo. And then Steven Juarez from Juarez and Minotauro from Juarez.
Very nice. You've got a mix, just from some from Juarez, some from other parts of Mexico, some from El Paso, some from Amarillo.
Yes, I try to put a little bit of variety, and then also try to give the opportunity to other gentlemen that maybe they don't have a lot of exposure. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's not because they're not good, it's because they haven't given the opportunity. The only way that I knew that I was able to wrestle the big stars was when they gave me the opportunity to wrestle them. And then that's how I was like, I still need to train more. I got to do this, or I got to do that. And I think it's important for me as a promoter now to be able to give them that opportunity to succeed. I heard the other day an interview of a guy that was a wrestler and was a promoter. He's like, well, I never put myself in the main event. I'm like, because you never consider yourself the main event. I do consider myself the main event because I train so hard. I put my passion and everything that I do, and I think I'm still wrestling. So I think that's important. I'm not a world champion because I was laying in bed and not doing anything. I'm a world champion because I've earned it, and I think it's important in this time to give the opportunity. Like Bobby Lee, he's a great wrestler. He comes from an amazing lineage of lucha libre. His dad was Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee lost his mask in 1978 against El Santo. That was the last mask El Santo won. Really? Before he retired. Yes. Yeah. So he's a very experienced wrestler, and he would always ask me for the opportunity. I was like, well, this is the time. I'm here for that. So I'm excited about this Sunday, and a lot of people have asked us like, what's gonna go on? We have 5 matches here, but at the end of the night, it's gonna be 7 matches. We have 2 semifinals for the man. The winners face each other for the tag titles, and then on the women's side, the pair that wins are the ones that are going to face each other for the women's title.
Excellent. So we've got semifinals and finals, meaning the winners of those matches will end up meeting up in the finals. Yeah,
and then I've been getting a lot of messages from many wrestlers that they want to be able to work with me and they want to be part of what we're doing. I wish I could put them all in one show, but then the show becomes too long, and I don't want people to be there for 4 or 5 hours. What I want to do is a show that it's between 2.5 and 3 hours at the most. That's what we're trying to entertain people.
Will there be an intermission?
Probably about 10 minutes, between 10 and 15 minutes to give people a break, and then from there we'll start the The tag title is a women's title, and then the main event.
If people have never been to the Almeida Shrine on Alabama Street, what's the setup like? How many tickets or how many seats does it hold? And a little bit of an idea of what the venue's like.
It's about 1,000 people. It holds about 1,000 people, and parking is amazing. They have a big parking lot, so you ain't gonna have trouble parking there. We're gonna sell food there. We're gonna sell drinks, all kinds of stuff. So
merch.
We're gonna have new shirts, new sweatshirts, new masks, different things for the people. Because people always ask me, "Are you bringing anything new?" So this time we got time to do some new merch for them, and so it's gonna be just exciting. I'm excited because there's a lot of families coming up. There was
nice.
We were talking, me and Monica. There was a lady. That she purchased, I don't know how many tickets, like over 30 tickets, because it's a kid's birthday, and they're gonna celebrate it there.
Oh, that's cool. Like a group party at the matches.
So it's exciting to have that there.
Oh, I love that. That sounds great.
It's a great idea.
It is a great idea. Any chance the kids are going to get involved in the middle of the match as a birthday gift and go hit somebody over the head with a chair?
No, let's not do that because we don't want nobody to get hurt.
That's exactly right. All right, more with Cinta de Oro as we hit the bottom of the hour. Let's go back to Adrian. He's standing by with his Sports Center update. Adrian, thank you very much. As we keep things moving here, bottom of the hour, we've got Cinta de Oro here. We've got Monica here as well. Monica, who was on our partner station, 93.1 KISS FM for 1,000 years. And it's really true. And you've also dressed red for Valentine's, so happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day to you, and thank you so much for having us back.
Hey, thanks for being here, and I like this. You know what, Cinta, I like that Monica's now your plus one at these radio events. I think that's the way it should be. So she knows the lay of the land. Sometimes she even gets let into the building, right?
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Sometimes.
She has credentials for every radio station now.
If you only knew what happened last week.
The other week, I came in, and the new guy,
yes,
he didn't know, and I was like, listen, I belong here. We're good.
Yeah, Alberto was great. He gave us a phone call. He's like, hey, some strange woman is at the front of the building, said she used to work here. We're like, don't let her in. We don't know anything about her. Been a big week for you. Big week with Children's Hospital also. Let's talk a little bit about that and how they've gone with a luchador theme for their 12th anniversary.
Yeah, it's called Luchando por los Niños. They're celebrating 12 years of the El Paso Children's Hospital, and it's been an amazing experience. I got to visit the hospital in 2018 when I was a Grand Marshal for the Thanksgiving Parade. That was part of the celebrations. Well. Yep. So this time around, it was great because I got to do more activities with them. They got to know that I was coming. You know, they planned it out. We ended up printing out some masks, some máscaras. They were able to color them, and so they could wear them. So they were expecting me, and it was a lot of fun to be able to visit them and see I guess when they see you, they were like so excited about it. And one of those kids was going through a hard time, and they say he hadn't walked for a while. So he got out of bed and walked to take a picture with me.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool to be able to see that, you know, that they get motivated, that we can, you know, see them smile and have a good time for a little bit. And then today I got to go again because they had a parade. The cheerleaders from YouTube were there and some other characters. I can't remember all their names.
The Care Bears.
Yeah, the Care Bears. And we're the Cabbage Patch Kids, right? I'm joking on that.
What?
I like that. We have a cabbage. Adrian, do you know the Cabbage Patch references?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Did do your parents still have any Cabbage Patch Kids from when they were little?
No, maybe they do. Maybe at my grandparents.
You should look for them because they're worth some money.
They probably are.
A lot of money. They really are. That's true. Good point. So that sounds like you've been busy. A lot of fun.
So yeah, it was fun. It was busy. We took some presents for them, some shirts, some face masks of Cinta de Oro, some pictures, and they were just excited, you know, to be able to see us there and have a good time with us. And it was awesome. So we're going to invite also for families to the show. They're going to be able to come and enjoy Lucha Libre on February 18th.
How are you doing physically? I've always wondered about that because now that you're not having to wrestle as much as you did when you were working with WWE and you're basically on tour 300 days out of the year, is your body, has it healed? Do you feel like you're really in better shape physically than you've been in a while?
Well, I feel great, to be honest. Like you were saying, like I haven't wrestled like before that. I was wrestling 3-4 times every week, and through all these 3-4 years, I've been able to have my body, you know, in a sense, rest and get better. And I'm a little heavier now. I want to go down a little bit because I didn't want to look too skinny when I started working out. So I ended up going up a little bit in weight. So what I want to do now is like go down to about a 195 to be able to be more agile. And my knees are great, my body feels great, so I'm just trying to take care of my body in this stage of my career. A lot of people tell me how many years you want to wrestle. I was like, to be honest, it depends how you feel physically. I've seen guys that are younger than me, and they're more beat up than me. And it's because you got to be able to listen to your body. When we're young, we don't really care. We just go, but we don't really take the time to recover. In my case, I've learned to be able to, take the time to recover, because if you have an injury and then you try to come back earlier, then you're going to get injured and you're going to be out longer. It's always better to take the time to take care of your body. And I listen to my body a lot now. Before I was like, I dislocated my shoulder when I was wrestling one time live at the Barclays Center. They ended up putting my shoulder back, and I ended up finishing the match.
What happened? You were outside during
on the apron. Biggie pulled my legs, and I ended up landing on my shoulder. And I remember that I was telling the video's there, and I was telling the doctor. I was like, I was telling Biggie, my shoulder's out, and he got me and still ran me into the announcer's table. So I'm like screaming, I'm like, ah. So then the doctor, the first day with Dr. Robinson was his first day on the job. So he ended up,
poor guy.
He ended up popping my shoulder back into place
during the match.
It was raw live television.
When you told Biggie you hurt your shoulder, he didn't believe you?
No, they thought I was joking, because I would always joke with him and Xavier Woods and Kofi.
Yeah.
So I was like, this guy's just joking with us.
Oh.
So I was like the kid that cried wolf during that time. So
one too many times.
Yeah. So then the doctor ended up putting my shoulder back in place. It was pretty crazy, because I just felt like a piece of my body going back into place, and then I felt relief and then pain throughout my whole body. And then they said that they from over there from Gorilla, they were saying to stop the match, and I don't remember a lot because I was going through that adrenaline, pain at the same time. It was a lot of things going on that I told the people over there to F off to let me wrestle. So I ended up finishing the match like that. There's a video online if you look at, and I was just grabbing my shoulder up to my body, and I did moonsaults and springboard, crossbodies, all kinds of stuff.
While you had the shoulder injury?
Yes, after the shoulder injury, yeah.
Wow.
So I ended up finishing the match. And
did Biggie at least apologize to you after the match when you found out it was a real shoulder injury?
No, I think it's part of what we do. It was nobody's fault. It was one of those things that I took a bad fall. It was nobody's fault. It was things that happened. And I remember after that, I drove 4 hours to D.C. with my bad shoulder. I was driving by myself. So those are the things that people don't really know. But I ended up leaving the arena with my bag, and I drove 4 hours. I had to get to my hotel. I couldn't move my shoulder. I was a man with one hand. The next day we had another show, so I ended up wrestling the next day.
How'd you do that? How'd you pull it together and do it from one day to the next?
It was just like putting my mind into not having pain, in a sense. I have a high pain threshold.
You must.
So that helps a lot. But I remember that we had a match the next day. I ended up wrestling, and then I ended up getting an MRI the next day.
I've been told that after a shoulder separation, it can happen again so much easier. Mm-hmm. Did you dislocate it a lot after that, or were you okay?
No, thank God that I haven't dislocated my shoulder ever again. Good. I think what really helped that the doctor was able to put it back in place as soon as it happened.
Yeah.
Because when they don't do that, they say the ligaments stretch, and then that's when they have to have surgery for your shoulder.
Gotcha.
In this case, he was able to pop it back in place with no problem, and that really helped. So I was out for 6 weeks doing therapy, and then I came back to wrestle, and I think I wrestled Alberto that day, and we did some crazy stuff. I remember they called me up to the office again. I was like, "What are you doing? You just got back from an injury." I'm like, "Well, I'm wrestling. This is what I do." He's like, "Well, you got to take care of your body and this and that." But when you're out there, you don't really measure danger.
All you're doing is just trying to entertain the fans and have fun, which is exactly what you're going to do on Sunday at 5 o'clock when you're back in the ring.
Yes, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to give you the opportunity to Bouvet Lee Jr., which I've known for many years, and he's very excited to be over here wrestling with us. And I've talked to a lot of the guys, and they're just happy to be able to come and showcase their talents here for the people of El Paso.
I want to give away tickets. I just want to figure out how difficult I should make this, because the show's over in 20 minutes, and I want to make sure I don't want to destroy our listeners right now, which I could do. I was going to think of a really good question, but Adrian, let's make it easy. Pick a caller and let's give some tickets away.
Yeah, let's do 5.
All right,
there you go.
Caller number 5 right now, 505-6009. That's 505-6009. You'll be going this Sunday to the Almeida Shrine to watch Noche de Campeones featuring our man, Cinta de Oro. He'll be defending the title against Bobby Lee Jr. We got 5 matches on the card, 7 total from the finals of the tag team that'll be going on. You want to be a part of it right now. Caller 5 gets the tickets, 505-6009. We'll come back, wrap things up with Cinta next. Sports Talk continues, 600 ESPN El Paso.